That's not some opera there.
How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow? Ribs. That's what I'm doing. I had ribs for lunch.
That's what's happening on the back end too.
I love scotch.
Is that what you're drinking? Scotch tonight?
Nah, it's Captain again. Or not Captain, Crown.
You ever drink Japanese whiskey?
Never had Japanese whiskey, no.
It's supposed to be fly, man. That's what all the hipsters are drinking these days.
Shit. I need to get in on that shit then.
I think that's what they're drinking. I'm not sure they can afford it.
Yeah. Them hipsters, they like their PBRs.
$1 PBR night.
Okay, let's hit it. Let's see how this goes. Where do you think our first screw up will be? You think an intro, a wire intro, or it's gonna be one of those two? Screw up.
The wire.
You're calling the wire? Okay.
Gotta be the wire. We gotta screw the wire up.
All right, I'm gonna hit the regular intro. What's going on? Welcome to the Pamphlet. I am Nick F. Kelly, and the F is for fornicate. What's going on, Adam?
Not too much. What are you up to down there?
Ugh, it's been a lousy day.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why we're going a little late tonight, too, is because the lousiness just continued with the technical difficulties that we had. Apparently, my computer likes to run like it's in the mud right now. So hopefully we're able to get this whole thing in. How about you? What's going on up there?
Man, not much. It is humid up here. It is hot. I mean, it's not so much hot, but it's just humid. I'm sure it's humid down there, too.
Oh, yeah. You walk out, just soaked right away.
Yeah, just in time for Dolphins training camp.
Yeah, you know, that's like 5 minutes down the road from where I live. And there's like zero buzz at all about that.
Yeah, I mean, I have people from work going to Steelers training camp. I mean, they just do it every year. I mean, that's a huge thing up here.
Yeah. I went to training camp one time when I was working with Eagle. It was a good time. I met the one broad that was on Rock of Love with Brett Michaels. She actually won that year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Believe it or not, the relationship didn't last.
What?
They get a picture with her. I forget what her name was. She was in Penthouse. She was the Penthouse pet.
Cool.
Yeah. She was there with her kid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be hot for them, too. I mean.
What, the more babies?
No, for the football players and training camp now. Yeah. It's kind of weird that girl would be at training camp.
Well, she was a big Steeler fan. That was like the big, that was her big connection with Brett Michaels on the show.
Oh, okay.
I ended up showing up at camp there, and then there she was, and she looked as good in person as she did on the show. I will say she was as advertised.
That's pretty good. Penthouse knows how to pick them, I guess. I guess I wouldn't know.
Know how to pick them, man. They know how to, spread them. So, so you excited for football season this year?
I am. I'm pretty excited. I think the Steelers are going to be good. I think my Mountaineers are going to be pretty solid this year. So I'm pumped.
You're not at all worried about the protests and stuff taken away from the game this year?
I don't know, man. The last 2 weeks, it's getting kind of wild again. It's getting wilder than it normally is. So.
I know Dak Prescott's been catching a lot of shit for this comment here.
Yeah, I mean, I never protest. I never protest during the anthem, and I don't think that's the time or the venue to do so. The game of football has always brought me such a peace, and I think it does the same for a lot of people. A lot of people playing the game, a lot of people watching the game, a lot of people that have any impact of the game. So when you bring such a controversy to the stadium, to the field, to the game, it takes away from that. It takes away from the joy and to the love that football brings a lot of people. And so for me, I'm all about making a change, making a difference. And I think this whole
I gotta say, it takes a lot of balls for someone to come out and say that, which is funny because if you listen to a lot of the comments about him, they're all basically calling him about the worst things you could call a black man.
Really?
For taking this stance.
Huh.
Yeah, Stephen A. Smith, he feels that he just needs to drop in line. This is from First Take. I had this all queued up before my computer crashed, so you got to bear with me.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. So,
Screaming A. Smith.
Screaming A. Smith. He thinks he knows what's up.
Absolutely. And you are the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, but you are also a black man from Louisiana who went to Mississippi State, who is fully aware of racial oppression, racial inequality, and things of that nature. You are an articulate young man, fully capable of expressing yourself and your position. And like I said on my radio show yesterday, Will, I said it.
And I think he did express his position. See, Stephen A. Smith is referring to the fact that he came out today and said he's not denying the fact that there's injustice. He thinks, there is, and he hopes that one day everyone could work towards changing everything. He just doesn't believe the anthem is the time to protest. And that's all everyone, that's against the anthem protest has been saying.
Yeah. It's not, I think there's like 90% of fans of the NFL hate these protests. They're like against the protest. And it's not because they're racist. They don't want things to be equal. It's because, like I've said before, Sundays, you're watching football, you don't want to deal with all this political bullshit on Sunday whenever football game's on.
No.
And they've spilled politics. I mean, we talk about it on here, but they've spilled politics into every day of the week, every event of the year, everything. And I mean, people are sick and tired of it. So even when I watched that clip you heard, and I mean, he pretty much just says exactly what I said a couple weeks ago. He must be listening to the show, obviously. So, I mean, he's just, I mean,
I think he's a fan.
Yeah, obviously. But I mean, I think just, he said, hey, it was, something they did. I don't think it needs to continue. Footballs are for having fun and showing people a good time and entertaining people, not this political stuff. So, I mean, they could do so much outside of the game in their communities because they're such powerful people. I've said this before, but they don't. They just want to. It's just like LeBron James. I don't know if you heard what he said this week, but LeBron James, he's. I would never sit down with the president. Blah blah blah. But I mean, first off, no one's asking him to. But secondly, I mean, look at Kim Kardashian or look at some of these people who have sat down with the president to try to get things done. That guy is looking to make people happy and looking to solve problems. If LeBron James is really concerned about inner city schools, dude, say, you know what? I don't like the president, but I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. And I bet you he'll get somewhere. I mean, the president's not going to shut him out. I mean, I think he will respect the guy.
The president's going to want to make an ally out of him, so he's probably going to do something that, you and I would not agree with just to get LeBron to say something nice about him. Like, really, that is how Trump is. And that's what I don't understand why the Democrats have not seen this. They could get a lot of shit done with this guy because he likes to just get shit done no matter who it benefits. He just wants his name on it.
Okay, you have a whole country with hundreds of millions of people and millions of problems. And we have huge political issues. We always have, always will. If you have a specific thing that you want and you're a big name like LeBron James, unlike me and you could actually get to the president and make a difference for whatever it is that you want, if you really wanted to. Instead, he's just on his soapbox, just trying to make a news story interesting on ESPN.
Dude, I saw a meme floating around on Facebook today that just drove me absolutely nuts. It said, Elon Musk, spends his fortune for space travel. Jeff Bezos spends his fortune for space travel. LeBron James, he spends his fortune on public schools, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
We need more LeBron James. Do you realize what Elon Musk is doing? Like the shit that he develops, he doesn't even get patented so that somebody could come along, look at his shit, and develop it even further.
Yeah. He's trying to make the world better.
Yeah. That is like the most selfless thing and biggest contribution he could give to the world. Yeah, the dude's an asshole. He seems like he's a bit of an arrogant asshole.
He's awesome.
But he's awesome. And the fact is, he's also like leaving behind something that will be easily developed upon because he's not, making sure his name or he has exclusivity to it.
Exactly. And NASA actually did a lot of that too. Like they develop a lot of things. Apparently, if NASA develops something, then it's like public information, or it like trickles down like into things in our day-to-day life. Whenever they develop new batteries that are good, or they do this or that, it's like they're working for the people to some degree. And it's like Elon Musk is a private company with Tesla or whatever. He has SpaceX and everything else, but he's developing things for the people in the country, basically for mankind. So, but I'm not sure how we got on this, but yeah, but LeBron James, I think if he grow up a little bit, he's so petty. Yeah.
Yeah, we're breaking up pretty bad there, but that's all right. You know what we should do? Because we didn't do it yet. And it's kind of silly because we just jumped right into the show. Let's hit the wire. Where are we going to start on this? I mean, we already kind of jumped in.
Yeah, we jumped into a little bit of the Trump stuff, but we all obviously have to talk about Ginsburg because I think that's one of the older stories for this week. But basically, the Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg she said she's going to work until she's 90. Right now, she's 85 or 6. So she's adamant about it. So if you're cool with that, they have a lifetime. They get appointed for a lifetime. If you're cool with 90-year-olds deciding your laws.
Well, I like the fact that there's actual, people out there now that are saying that they're willing to give up organs to keep her alive.
Oh God. Yeah.
I actually want to donate organs to Ruth Bader Ginsburg so that she doesn't die on us. Is it wrong that I think what would be absolutely hilarious is if she took him up on one of the offers and then died on the operating table?
They both died.
Oh, no. The person that donated, I think it'd be great if they wake up, they're coming out of their sedation and they're like, oh man, it hurts, but man, I did a great thing. And then they're like, oh, we got some bad news.
Yeah.
We transplanted your kidney and it didn't take, and she is now gone. And it's like, oh my God, that's terrible. And they're like, well, is Trump going to replace him? And he already has.
Yeah, Ted Cruz. Actually, Ted Cruz is in quite a battle right now. Have you seen that? He's in a Senate race right now that's pretty tight for, I think it's within 5%, give or take. So
yeah, I think he'll be all right though. That is still Texas.
I know, but a lot of libtards have moved into Texas too.
Yeah,
a lot of activists down there. Yeah, so they have to get out and vote down there. But I mean, actually, I wasn't a Ted Cruz supporter during the election, but I do like Ted Cruz. I think from the standpoint of sticking to the Constitution, following laws, the way they were actually written, I love the guy. I think that's the way it's supposed to be. As far as his personality, at the debates and stuff, I mean, I guess I was just a sucker. Donald Trump was entertaining. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if Cruz could have even won if he beat Trump. I don't know.
Yeah. We don't have to know. We don't have to worry about it now. But I like Cruz. I always have. He is a bit of a stick in the mud though. He doesn't appear like he would be a fun guy to grab a beer with.
Yeah,
At all.
I mean, he would try. It would be very
Doesn't pass
awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see him. He seems like the guy that when you're standing around with a bunch of guys telling dirty jokes and he comes in to tell one, but he's so like not used to telling a dirty joke, he just comes off looking like a creep.
Yeah.
You ever see those kind of guys that they're like, oh, I could do this too, and they're like they really can't.
And everyone's like, yeah. This guy might be serious. He does want to touch kids.
He might be a pedophile.
But
remember to find Cruz if you're in Texas.
Yeah. I don't think he's a pedophile at all. I think he's pretty fun. I think he kind of makes fun of himself, and it's been funnier since the presidential election's been over, which has made him a little bit more likable for me. But I do like his stance on things, the way he sticks to the Constitution, and he's very thorough whenever he's questioning someone in front of the Senate. So, I mean, those are the kind of people I like, people who actually have facts, and they're like questioning these witnesses in a congressional or Senate hearing, and they're actually going into it, not just standing up on their soapbox preaching the whole time. So, but well, did you see the Trump? He had a rally. I'm not even sure where this rally was, but
it was in Tampa.
Tampa. Oh, that was right in your backyard. Well, I guess Jim Acosta from CNN was there, who like obviously isn't really that welcome. But
you're not welcome here.
You're not welcome here in Florida, boy. But
you get out now. You hear me? Go.
Well, he was trying to basically broadcast a news story with the crowd behind him, looking at his lies. And it was just like literally they were chanting like CNN fake news, stuff like that.
CNN sucks was a good one that are hearing. And it was great because when he was on with Wolf Blitzer, it sounded like he was like telling on the crowd. They're chanting CNN sucks and fake news, and we're not fake news.
Yeah. Well, I had a story from Huffington Post that I read, which is like ultra liberal too. They're like the most obnoxious thing.
They are.
And it said a handful of supporters showed off signs peddling popular right-wing conspiracy theories. Instead of saying that they had signs that said fake news, they basically said it's a conspiracy theory. So I thought that was pretty funny. I guess if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but Jim, is he thrown out of the White House stuff still? He's gone, or they let him back into the?
He was back in today because he was trying to
That's what I thought.
He was trying to get Sarah Huckabee Sanders to admit that the White House thinks that the press is actually the enemy of the people.
Yeah. And she made, if anyone listens to that audio, she really explained the other side of that. Like how she's the only secretary or only press person, or the White House. What is her title now? It's
press secretary.
Press secretary. Yeah, it's slipping my mind. She's the only press secretary to ever have to have Secret Service follow her everywhere she goes because of how many threats that she gets. Because the news and the Democrats, they're like all about harassing everyone now. That's their new motto. It's not like peaceful resistance. It's like so yeah. One guy said, "Hey Jim, you suck." So grown up. I was just reading these F the media t-shirts. I don't know. That's great though. But yeah, so Jim Acosta from CNN, he had a real hard time broadcasting during a Trump rally, which is that really a surprise?
No.
But on to
it's
other
not
Trump
news. It's CNN.
Yeah, on to some other Trump news. So the second quarter, basically all the numbers came in. For the second quarter, the gross domestic product was 4.1%, which is like really good. I don't know if it will carry through the whole year, but that's a really good quarter.
It's funny because I remember when Obama said that the days of 4% are over.
I think for Obama, the days of 2% were over. Anything above 2%. But I mean, I'll just go through some numbers. Obama, first year, he was negative 2.8. I can't really blame him because of the financial crisis that he walked into. So to some degree, I mean, that's on Bush. That's on, everyone before him who's just kind of very lax with mortgages essentially in this country. Then he had a good second year, which was 2.5, which is a 2.5 when you grew from a negative 2.8. So maybe you're 0.3 down still. But anyway, so then he goes to the third year. He's 1.6. Fourth year, 2.2. Fifth year, 1.7%. Sixth year, 2.6. Seventh year, 2.9 was his best year. And then his last year, he was 1.5. So going into Trump, he was at a 1.5% growth of the country as GDP. And I think if you listen to the Fed, ideally they would want everything to be about 2% at a minimum. So, I mean, if you're at 4.1, you're really growing. And I think regulation cuts and tax cuts have really helped that. I mean, that's stuff that over time is going to come through, but we have such huge financial burden, such huge debt.
Need to start cutting the spending too.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I don't think people understand, like this Bernie care thing, where in this girl from New York, they want to give everything for free, which adds more debt. Well, nothing is free. I mean, Burn Care or whatever. I'm just giving it that name. I don't think that's what they even called it. But he came out with his, his plan to get everyone health insurance in the country. It should be provided by the government, apparently, in his opinion.
It's basically Medicare for all.
Yeah, and it will cost $32 trillion. So our debt right now is like 21 trillion. So now you're at 54. I mean, not to mention Social Security and other that the 21%. That's what a lot of people don't realize. 21% or 21 trillion is actually not counting Social Security that's going to kick in and this and these other programs that we are committed to. So like our debt is really closer to like 50 to 70 trillion dollars. Now we have this debt clock and it's 21, but I mean that's a lot of money. I mean, I know our GDP is like this is the best quarter I think, or I think it was the most amount of money that they brought in on taxes too, which is really good. They cut taxes, but somehow brought more tax money in than ever before.
Yeah.
And it's because people are working, people have jobs. So the more people working, the more people pay into the system. So you can afford to give them cuts apparently. But these people like that girl in New York, I always forget her name, Alexandria.
Ocasio-Cortez.
I mean, I could talk about her every week, but every time she's on an interview, it's just, well, yeah, this should be free. Oh, we should relieve Puerto Rico of all their debt.
Yeah.
Everything they've ever borrowed from the United States. Now, Puerto Rico is part of the United States. They're not a state. But, if you're taking money from the government to pay, and that is the low interest rate to pay back, I mean, we can't just forgive everyone's debt because we have to pay it. We can't forgive one person and just say, oh, no, we'll pay it. Well, everyone has to pay it. So I don't know.
And that's the thing is you talk about that being $32 trillion. And this is before you get into the other stuff that they promise free, like college and paid medical leave and a job for everyone. That also is extra costs that are going. Like the platform that wing especially is running on is insane. And then when you consider the fact that they also want to give like full welfare benefits to illegal aliens
and voting rights.
I just think they think money literally just gets printed.
Yeah, I mean it does, but then that's when inflation kicks in. Venezuela's inflation, this is a perfect example, is 1,000,000%. Like so, basically, I think it was 1 million. Their dollar is like the inflation on is 1 million. So basically, they need $1 million to have $1 there. I think if I've read that correctly, but that's socialism at work. That's let's give everybody everything. Let's not really have free market where there's competition. See, what people don't understand about the free market is, corporations make a lot of money, but they also drive each other to be innovative to come up with new things. They drive each other with the prices because they want to be competitive. They want, if people have choices, then they better be competitive or people aren't going to buy their products. So that's
Exactly.
the free market. Whenever you have socialism, you have a very limited amount of everything's nationalized. So everything that's like essentially owned and sold is sold by your government, and there's very limited amounts, and you can't really choose what exactly you're getting. You get what you get at the price they want.
Right. A prime example would be college tuition.
Yeah.
Look at what happened since they started giving the subsidies and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's gone through the roof.
Well, they're federally guaranteeing these loans that they're going to get paid back. Then these kids, the schools say, well, the government's definitely gonna, they're guaranteed by the government. They're federally backed. So we could charge these kids $30,000 a year, and for some degree, that's not going to make them shit. They're going to be $120,000 in debt. And it doesn't matter. Like, they have to pay that. You could file bankruptcy in this country and get out of a mortgage. You could file bankruptcy and get out of car loans or whatever, but you cannot get out of student debt. Student loan debt is an anchor around your neck. Yeah. So I would tell any kid going to school, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to college. Get your education, but don't fuck around. I mean, go get an education and focus on something and have a plan. I mean, I know that's a lot to tell a kid that's 16, but he's about to take on more debt than he's probably going to take on in his entire life.
Oh,
at 18 years old. I mean, I guess mortgages, but I mean, some of these people, I mean, you pay 20 years.
Yeah, you pay on a mortgage for 10 years, and then you sell the house. You still can make equity back. You're not selling your student loans.
No, you get a piece of paper. And hey, you have to, I mean, that's what I mean. You could go and get an education and you could take, you could half-ass it. And I mean, basically you're just wasting your money. I mean, as far as vocational stuff, I did see a couple weeks ago that Trump is passing some stuff to try to basically fire up our vocational system for high school kids, because there's a need for people who are actually out working, blue collar jobs, welders, people in construction, electricians, plumbers, things like that. In these fields, I mean, everyone says, oh, that's blue collar, but blue collar, I mean, after you do your apprenticeship, I mean, you can make more money than these kids that are coming out of college with a 4-year degree, and you're 19 years old. You just have to, it depends on the person. You have to work hard, no matter if you're college educated or you're not. You have to work hard, and you can make money in this country. That's the beauty of it. So, but yeah, so that burn care thing is, I don't even know how people can support it. I mean, I get it. They say, well, Bernie cares about us. Okay, yeah. But I mean, let's talk about something serious. Like, we can't live in fairy tale land. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad guy or he's this or that, but I mean, this is not, this is just not realistic. Yeah. It's just not realistic. So
this is the same guy that said that bread lines are good things that shows the government is working.
Well,
so he's an asshole. Fuck him.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, okay, the whole problem with taxing in this country, the federal government taxes you. So then what does that do? That gives them money. That gives them, okay, let's say between all the taxes you pay, if you factored in sales tax, property tax, income tax, state income tax, social security tax, whatever, you're paying, by the time you're done with the year, you're probably paying 70% in taxes, like total. Yeah. So that money's going to the government bodies. They're going to your state, the government. So they have all this money. So what does that give them? It gives them all this power. It gives them all this power that they're not supposed to have. They're not supposed to be with their hands and everything. They're supposed to protect us. They're supposed to manage the country, but they're not supposed to be in our business. That's not really the job of government. And now they take all this money from special interests to get these guys elected. Their boys are in there. Then the boys take care of the companies or this or that. And yeah, hopefully I'm coming through, but it's just,
you were coming through. I just had to burp and I didn't want to.
Well, essentially taxing to the degree that we do and building such huge government is just it's counterproductive because all you have is government waste and all you have is government corruption.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's more of why people like look socially. I really don't. I don't want to tell people what to do. If you're gay, you want to get married. If you're whatever, you do your thing. I mean, as long as you're not hurting other people and you're not doing something that's blatantly illegal. But whenever the government, I'm conservative though when it comes to the way they manage our money in this country because we're all paying all this amount of tax. We're working, 40 to 60 hours a week. We get our weekends to do our laundry and clean our house and go back to work on Monday. You know what I mean? And they are pissing your money away. So, I mean, if you don't realize that or you don't want to look at that, you don't want to face it, nothing will ever change. They'll just keep taking and they'll keep taking more and more. That's why whenever these Democrats say, oh, we're going to tax more, we need to tax people more. Well, I mean, you could tax more, but all you're going to get is bigger government and more government waste. I mean, tax less. So that's my problem with burn care, not just the 32 trillion, but it just gives the government more power to be the overlord of everybody that they're not supposed to be. So
right.
But hey, did you see? I know we always say this. Did you see? I'm sure you did. John in Utah, his alma mater, ran into some problems this week.
I see that. Only John in Utah was there. He could have stopped it, bro.
I know. Well, so apparently, Urban Meyer, he's been put on administrative leave with pay while they do some sort of investigation because one of his assistants, I guess for the last couple years or a couple years ago, I'm not sure when this happened, he was just like beating up his wife. And it sounded like all the coaches' wives were aware of this. Urban Meyer's wife was aware of this. And I think Urban Meyer kind of denied that he knew anything about it. Like he played dumb.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they initially got rid of the guy. They just kind of let it go on. And, but he's in deep shit. That's like probably the second biggest coach in the country behind Nick Saban.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he when it's funny the length or the distance people will go when football's involved.
I know. It's so dumb. It's not necessary. The guy's a wide receiver coach.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the best wide receiver coaches in the country. But it's not worth the aggravation. If you're beating up your wife and everyone knows about it, I mean, there better be some really good justification for you not canning that guy. I mean,
even if you're the best wide receiver coach in the country, really, what's the drop off from like the 50th best?
I mean, plus they're in the Big Ten, and all they do is run 2 yards at a time and get tackled and try to get a first down. They throw like, maybe a quarter of what most conferences do at this point. So you don't even need wide receivers.
Yeah,
unless you teach them to block.
Have they even had a wide receiver go in the first round since Antonio Holmes?
I don't know. See, they get talented guys. Like even the SEC, they get a lot of talented receivers, amazing receivers, but they don't put up really giant numbers because they play like that 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of offense. Right. They just kind of run the ball. Now things have opened up over the years, but I mean, for you, I don't understand. I don't care if it was the assistant head coach. If he's beating up his wife and everyone knows about it, his wife was texting her like, "You need to get away from that guy. Like he's a monster type of shit." Now Urban Meyer had to have known about it, right? I mean, I don't know. It seems if she didn't mention it to him.
His wife knew about it. He knew about it.
That's what everyone's saying. I don't have a wife, so I don't hear all these things, but. I mean,
if you're shut up about what they know.
Yeah, exactly. They know. Yeah, the secret's gonna be out because they like to talk. So yeah, I mean, right now he's on administrative leave. Their camp, I think, is going on. I think football camp is going on now. I think it just started for them. So we'll see what happens.
What was Ohio State supposed to do this year? Were they supposed to compete?
I think they were ranked in the top 5.
Damn.
Maybe 2. So
sucks for them Buckeyes.
Yeah.
Hey, your Buckeyes are giving ladies black eyes. You just can't do that.
No. But I mean, these guys, there's so many of them that do this. I mean, we talked about Shady McCoy in Buffalo. Have you heard anything about him? Is he suspended? I haven't really followed up on that story. I don't think
I haven't
he
heard.
is.
I saw the photos. I mean, she looked like she looked like a package of ground beef.
Yeah, that someone beat up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, the girl didn't say anything. It was her friend. Her friend was like, "This is ridiculous. Like, this dude will kill you if you keep letting this go on."
Good for her friend.
So yeah, I mean, you know how that goes though. She probably disowned her friend. You know what I mean? Then he came home, he's pissed and probably beat her up some more. But like in the stomach where it didn't leave marks, you know, something like that. So
she doesn't want to cut off that gravy train.
No, and that's a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. You're gonna let someone like literally. I mean, her face was like covered in blood. Her eyes were like swollen shut with being beaten. The
Osama bin Laden death pic that floated out there looked like he was in better shape.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I should have Googled that before because I didn't think we really would get into it that much. But I would be curious to see if the NFL does anything at all. You know, because there's no charges. She never filed charges, so they probably something in their union bylaws. You know, they got to have some.
I don't know because there were no charges with Ray Rice.
There wasn't like he didn't get charged with that. Damn, nope. That was on video. That was rough to watch.
Oh yeah, that dude.
But there was a kid from Oklahoma. He's in the pros now. He got drafted, well, not this past draft, but the draft before. And when he was like a freshman or sophomore, he like flat out did the same thing on video. Hit a girl, broke her jaw. Looked like he about knocked her head off. And he sat out a year, but he played at Oklahoma. Wow. He's a Bengal. He fit right in. Did you see Pac-Man? Disgrace my Mountaineers. No, but he was at an airport. This was like within the last week or two. He was in an airport, and like this guy working at the airport looked like a guy like who was a flagger. He had like reflective clothes on. Starts like shit talking him, and then he like pushed him. And like Pac-Man went after him, and like literally like they're fist fighting in the middle of an airport. I mean, that guy has always been in trouble though. So there's our college football segment. But so in other news, don't let your dog lick your face and mouth. Apparently, you can get really super sick from this.
Dude, this is crazy. When you sent me this earlier, all you sent me was the headline. You didn't even send me.
So this guy, his name's Greg. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his last name. Essentially, his dog, I think, licked his face or something, and then he got like flu-like sickness, like within a day or something, or something like that. I don't know. And then his body got bruised. His wife said it looked like someone beat him with a baseball bat all over his body. So they go in, and he's septic. So his like blood is like he has like a bacteria infection, and they had to chop his legs and his like a good bit of his hands off. So the guy's like almost like completely limbless because his dog licked his face.
So here's what I was thinking after you sent me that. Like the dog is obviously a very good dog. And if the dog's like giving kisses, it's an affectionate dog. It's you know, and he obviously liked the dog. Any guy that would let a dog lick its face and whatever likes the dog. If you're coming home from the hospital without legs and arms, are you having that dog killed?
Oh man, I doubt it. I don't know.
Here's the thing: you're not going to
bite the guy.
He didn't. Yeah, I know. But you're either gonna spend the rest of that dog's life going, "You fucking asshole,"
I know,
or then you're gonna go home and you're gonna be sad because you just had your dog killed that you obviously loved. But definitely led to you not having any arms and legs.
I don't think you put it down. You just give it one of those milk bones to clean its mouth.
Here's a greenie, you dirty fuck.
But I guess this is something that can happen. You know, like they say it's pretty rare, but there's like been 500 cases similar to this where, you know, like a dog licks your face and then you get like some sort of blood disease or bacterial infection. Well, it's like a bacteria infection that really takes off. Like it got into this guy's blood, and then it became a real problem. I mean, they said he's lucky to even have lived. Obviously, they cut his legs off. I mean, yeah, but I mean, basically, it was super lethal. So, like, this dog had some badass breath. So, yeah. But don't let your dogs lick you. But like, you ever hear of cat scratch fever?
Yeah.
I mean, not just the song, but like, because I mean, they're like scratching around the shit, stuff like that. They get bacteria into their claws, and they scratch you. Yeah. Next thing you know, you get all your arms and legs chopped off. I don't know if that's how that works, but I assume it's similar. Well, another football news, kind of football news, more of like racial news. There was a guy, he was a black guy, and he wore a shirt. It looked exactly like the Washington Redskins shirt, except it was the Washington Caucasians. And it was just like a white guy's head on it. Yeah. And he walked around like he wanted to walk on the streets and prove that these, white, it was basically to prove that like white people and their privilege, the things that, how offended they would be. And I mean, he tweeted out a bunch of stuff. I don't even know who the guy is. Apparently, he's probably like some YouTube person I've never heard of. But I mean, I thought the shirt was awesome. I wish they would change the name to Caucasians. That's awesome. Like everyone hates Redskins, might as well change it to Caucasians. Let's do it. They would really hate the Washington Caucasians.
Here's the thing. He was saying like he caught a bunch of shit about it and whatever.
I don't believe it.
To that I say bullshit.
Yeah, me too.
One thing, people don't say shit to other people anyway. And number two, like this wasn't just like a black guy. This was a really big, tatted up black guy.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, say it's stereotypical or whatever, but nobody's going up to a really big, tatted up, any color guy going,
take that shirt off.
Shirt? Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't have a problem with it. I'm a white guy. I think about time we get a sports team.
Right?
The Indians, Redskins, they have the Chiefs. They got every damn sport. The Blackhawks, they got every. Yeah, let's put some whiteys in there. Sure, not really on the team, but at least call a team after us. There's no Indians on the Washington Redskins.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious because, I never even looked at it like that. You'd have 11 guys out there wearing Caucasians.
Yeah, Caucasians. And probably 90% of them are not going to be white. Just based on the numbers in the league. Most of the league is not white. So, but I didn't have a problem with it. I'm not sure who I would like to. I didn't see a video. I just saw tweets. Him saying that this was, look at this white privilege. These people don't, they're offended by this, but they're not offended by Redskins. But I don't see a problem with it. Like literally, I went online and tried to find the shirts I could buy it. So, but I don't know. You sent me something interesting. I didn't know if you want to bring it up now. It was from Vice News about Animal House.
Yeah. I think this is actually going to kick off a new segment.
Okay.
The social justice outrage of the week or something of that nature.
Oh boy.
Well, basically, they say we should celebrate the 40th anniversary of Animal House by tossing it in the trash. Yeah, they go on about how it's just not culturally appropriate anymore because, you got the chasing around the women and it's all white people, except for when they go to the all black club and get scared away.
Yeah.
You mind if we dance with your dates?
Yeah. So basically it's like one of the Me Too type of things.
Yeah. I mean, and
40 years old.
I get what they're saying with the fact that there's, statutory rape jokes in there.
Yeah.
They said there's no real female leads. And of course, they're all white. They mentioned that 2 or 3 times in the article.
It's kind of weird that it's not that weird to not have female leads when it's about a fraternity.
Right. Yeah. And the fact is they're just like, you watch it now and it's not funny. It moves too slow. It's not funny. Like, it just makes you cringe. And then I love how the guy ends it because he's like, if you had an Animal House, if you had the Belushi poster in your dorm room, then you were
with the college.
Yeah. Then you were obviously a weird loser. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing that made him a weird loser.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, that was in like every college dorm.
Exactly. And this guy, Harry Cheadle of Vice, if you click his profile picture on Vice, you know, his professional headshot is like some anime fucking bullshit. But if you had the poster of John Belushi from the most timeless comedy of all time in your dorm room, well, you were a loser.
Yeah. Well, maybe to him you were.
Yeah.
Sounds like that guy may have gotten bullied by somebody.
I hope he did.
Yeah.
I hope it was awful.
You know what? Yeah.
National Lampoons, like the guy, the Doug Kinney was hardcore leftist. I mean, if you listen to the National Lampoon radio hour, it was basically left-wing propaganda, but it was fucking hilarious.
But it was fun.
Everything that National Lampoon did, you know, going into the vacation movies was good and groundbreaking. And it was crude and it was in your face. And the whole idea of National Lampoon was, if you don't like it, then we don't care. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, don't read our magazine. Don't
exactly
listen to the radio. So
it's about free speech. It's about have a sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't like Animal House, then you're probably not a decent person to talk to. Just my opinion, man.
I mean, I just hate the fact that comedy is so like scrutinized. It's kind of like football to me. It's like I want to watch a stand-up act. I want Dave Chappelle or someone to cut it loose, say whatever the hell he wants, no matter if it offends people or not. Because I want it, because he's doing it to be funny. You know, I don't know. It drives me nuts that these guys get picked. Every word they say gets picked over. Now there is a couple examples that kind of ruined it for him. You know, the guy off of Seinfeld. You know, what's his face screaming the N-word at like hecklers, which he shouldn't do.
Yeah,
he's not trying to really. I mean, I think he said he was trying to be funny, but it wasn't funny.
No,
it's kind of it wasn't a good idea.
No, that went a little haywire. But you know, they weren't doing that in the Animal House. I mean, literally everything in there was to be funny.
Yeah,
and, you know, it's supposed to make you laugh. And you know, there's no rule on what is and isn't funny. That's why, like, people that were, you know, on the right that were up in arms about the whole James Gunn tweets about like, oh, these pedophile jokes aren't funny. Well, A, some of them were. I mean, just to be totally honest with you, some of them were pretty funny. B, just because you don't find something funny doesn't mean that it's not funny to someone. There is, you know, it's not up to you to judge what is funny. If you don't like it, if it offends you, go away. There's more shit out there for you to enjoy. Go do that.
The big problem, the only problem with him, and like I said, like I would read like people who are not famous. Like I think about that one guy on Twitter, and I won't mention his name, that used to follow you. I mean, he said the most absurd things. It was funny. He wasn't even famous, but I mean, he's doing it obviously to get a rise out of people and be funny. He's not. I don't think he's doing it to be hurtful. And you know, if that's the case, if this guy is, you know, from that movie, the director is trying to be funny, and it was from years ago. I assume he is. I mean, it would be terrible if he actually turned out to be a child molester, but I feel like if he was a pedophile, he would never make those jokes.
No, absolutely.
I mean, why would he unveil his, you know, pull the curtain back on his life of molesting kids?
Unless he's hiding in plain sight, and if that's the case, he's an idea, sir.
Yeah. Then it is going up a different level, and maybe we need to watch a little bit.
I tell you, one thing we missed in The Wire that I wanted to touch on, and I know you said you did too. The New York Times has hired a new member to their editorial staff. And this kind of gets into it about, although I don't think these tweets were meant to be funny or jokes, but
No, they didn't seem like jokes at
No, they
all.
didn't. Sarah Gihon apparently does not like white people,
Especially white men.
especially white men. She just got hired by the New York Times to be part of their editorial staff, and as things go these days, some of her old tweets have been dug up. Some of those tweets include dumbass fucking white people marking up the internet with their opinions like dogs pissing on fire hydrants.
She's Asian, by the way.
Yeah. If the Jihong did not tip you off.
Yeah.
But are white people genetically predisposed to burn faster in the sun, thus logically being only fit to live underground like groveling goblins?
Did you have the one about
horribly racist?
Do you have the one about like being old or being mean to old white men? Yeah, find that one. That one. I mean, these aren't like. I don't think she was being funny. I think she's just basically stating that like she really doesn't like white people. She really doesn't like white men.
Oh man, it's kind of sick how much joy I get out of being cruel to old white men.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of sick that you're just a bitch.
Yeah, basically.
So New York Times has posted a comment since this story broke. And they said, we hired Sarah because of exceptional work she has done covering the internet and technology at a range respected publications. Her journalism and the fact that she is a young Asian woman have made her a subject of frequent online harassment. For a period of time, she responded to that harassment by imitating the rhetoric of the harassers. So this is what the New York Times is saying. Yes, she said horrible things to white people, but it's those horrible white people that started this.
Yeah,
it's the horrible white people's fault that this happened.
Okay, now it makes sense.
Report.
Yeah,
and then they go on to say she sees how that approach only served those to feed the vitriol that we too often see on social media. She regrets it, and the Times does not condone it. And then they also go on to say that we had a candid conversation with Sarah as part of the thorough vetting process, which included a review of her social media history. She understands the type of rhetoric is not acceptable at the Times, and we are confident that she will be an important voice for the editorial board moving forward. Okay, here's where I call bullshit. Yeah. Because if you had this conversation and you did this vetting process while you were going through the hiring process and you came across these tweets, you either tell her, if you want to hire her after you see them, you tell her, okay, we see this. This is not acceptable. Take them down because they will be found.
Yeah.
Or you didn't do the proper vetting.
They didn't have this discussion prior.
Or you don't really see a problem with what she said and thought it would actually be a good way to create some buzz.
Maybe that's true. Good thinking. Because honestly, if they really had a problem with it, which they should, the New York Times,
right?
They should have vetted it better, and they didn't. They either didn't vet her at all, like in that manner. They didn't vet through her tweets, or like you said. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. Like, they're just, because they are getting super liberal.
Right.
They've really gone to one side. So when in the past they may have been, but not quite to this degree. So, because I think a lot of people look at them as like a gold standard type of a newspaper. And it's not really the case anymore, I don't think.
No, at least not widely considered.
No.
But there's one more news segment that I wanted to try today. And I want to call it When America Was Great. Because when you see people like Sarah Gihon, it makes you think America is not great today. So I like to look back in time and A great way to do that is to look at commercials of the past.
Ooh.
Have you ever watched any of these commercials?
No, I haven't. Should be
Boy,
interesting.
They are a time of interesting days. Now, this might throw us off YouTube Live, which is okay because I see we have exactly 0 viewers right now. Although we did have one for a while. So,
oh, we did.
Wherever you went, we appreciate it.
It was probably Quaid, and as soon as I mentioned Johnny Utah, he probably ended it.
Like literally ended it. Like we're going to be needing a new host for Master Debate.
We just have to figure out a way to include him in every debate now. I've decided.
Yeah, I did too. I thought the same thing. All right, so I'm going to try to share this with you and see how this goes. And if we get tossed off YouTube Live, well, download us on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Kelly Digital. That's how you plug shit, yo.
Yeah.
I can't type. I don't take dictation. I won't sharpen pencils. I can't file. My boss calls me indispensable.
Miss Jones,
Just a minute.
will you make a copy of this?
Naturally. I push the button on the Xerox 914. I make perfect copies of whatever my boss needs by just turning a knob and pushing a button.
How many times do you think the boss said, "Hey, Miss Jones, how about you flop that perfect ass you got there on top of that copy machine?"
So this is
a couple of copies.
So this is a Xerox commercial from, it looks like, the 1950s.
Right. This is old school.
Yeah, this is old. And wonder what Xerox, what would happen today if like Xerox, if this kind of came out into like, you know, these political justice people, like, look at Xerox, their stock would probably go down 10% one day.
That'd be a good day to invest.
Well, after that.
Copy in black and white on ordinary paper. And am I fast? I can make 7 copies in a minute.
Ooh.
By the way,
Ooh.
I never need wet chemicals. My
You're plenty wet enough, I'm sure, Mrs. Jones.
914 is a dry machine. Powder dry. Sometimes my boss asks me which is the original. And sometimes I don't know.
And sometimes he asked me if I could put my labia on there and take 7 copies a minute. And it's fantastic.
This was back in the day whenever you could have your scotch while you're working at 9 a.m. and you're working and hanging out with the boys in the golf course in the afternoon, and life was good.
Just
Now
sitting
we
back
work
in
too
the
hard.
office, smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
Mrs. Jones, can you come in here for a while? Yes, Mr. Jones, what is it?
Sure. Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and earn that bonus and give me a hand job? Man, you're so silly.
I wonder, just because of the times. Now, I don't know this because I don't know one way or the other. I didn't live then. But I wonder, let's say 1950s, post-World War II, early 1950s, if, you know, they have women in those jobs and the women were like obviously fine, you know, in this commercial, they're portraying them as fine with not really knowing anything and just being indispensable.
Yeah, she could not be more useless as an employee. She makes that very clear.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty pretty clear in this commercial. But I wonder, as far as like sexually harassing, I wonder if the guys did that. I think I would feel like they do it more now, and it's creepier now because it's like secretive. Back then, they probably were pretty casual with everything, but they probably respected other guys' wives. Maybe they didn't. Fuck, I'm giving people way too much credit.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I gotta think that it was I don't know, like, it's funny.
I'm just saying from a sexual harassment standpoint, not like making them like out to be like basically idiots, because that's obvious. That's exactly what they're doing in this commercial, and that's not fair. But
this one here is kind of in the same vein, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this one too because it's pretty short. It makes me laugh.
I bought the fresh stick, just as you told me. You're absolutely right. It's neat and quick, and it goes on dry. It did make me feel cool and sweet, just as you said. I did everything you said, but my boss still hasn't asked me to lunch.
Unlike some deodorants.
It's another thing.
Well, you know what, man? Maybe you should go ahead and plop your ass on the copier and take a picture of your vagina.
Well,
that'll get you to lunch. Maybe it'll take you to a cheap hotel room too.
But how many people met like their husbands and wives at work? That's not something that I think is very common now. Maybe it is, but I think it's kind of frowned upon to like sleep with people that you work with, though.
Was it back then, though? I mean, isn't that the reason for bringing women into the work?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it was, but I don't think they just like. Well, hey, I don't know shit. I don't know anything about the 1950s as far as social standards. Obviously, blacks and women were probably treated a lot poorer than they are now.
Right. And they were pretty clear about that in their advertising campaigns.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one is for deodorant. I guess you don't want her being in the office smelling like Doritos or Fritos. Fritos, no, onions. Any of it.
I was gonna say Fritos would be all right. I like Fritos.
Although I did watch a pretty funny Fritos commercial too. Spoiler alert, not a good light on the Mexicans.
Really? Fritos?
Yeah.
Is it like controversial?
Would be today. There would be.
It was an old one. It wasn't current. Yeah.
It wasn't current.
That Mexicans sure do know how to make these tortillas. That's funny. Yeah, that's interesting there, those old commercials. Just how people were.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's if you find time and you want to go back, I definitely recommend getting on YouTube and Googling the old commercials of years past, because it'll bring you plenty of enjoyment.
Yeah.
So aside from commercials, you watch anything good over the last week?
Oh, yeah, I did, but not new. I watched Casino, and I haven't seen that movie for years. The movie Casino, man, that's a good movie. That is such a good movie.
You like that one?
Oh, it's so good. And you know what's good about it? I watched it on Sundance or somewhere where they edit it.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of that mother turkey stuff, which is like something I love, or instead of using the actual words, they just change them out with the weirdest, ways to disguise the swear word. But that's a really good movie. You don't like that?
It has like good moments. I think overall
I think when's the last time you watched it?
It's been a while.
You should rewatch it. I bet you would have a different opinion now. You're older. You're an old man now.
Yeah. Now that I've seen far too many winners.
Yeah, well, the other thing that I saw, I didn't see it, but I saw it's coming out, was there is another Terminator coming out.
Yeah. Connor's going to be back in this one.
Yeah, and like they had on the news story that I saw, it was just the women it was like a female cast, the cast members, all women, and they're all dressed like, they look all muscular and they look like they just came out of battle type of thing.
Right.
And so I read the comments, and the top comment said, "At this point, I'm rooting for Skynet." Which I thought was really funny, but yeah, I mean, I really haven't watched the last couple, like Terminator Genesis or whatever it was called. I've never watched it. I love Terminator movies, like the originals, first two anyway. Yeah, 3, yeah. I mean, I think I went to the theaters for the third one.
Yeah. Yeah, you went with me, and it was that one in Bridgeville that was real. It was like brand new, but nobody ever went to it.
Yeah, Distinta.
Yeah,
No, it's still, or it was still open, but I think they had like some issues, sanitary issues there recently. But it's been open. I mean, I don't know. Within the last couple of years, it was open. I've been there within the last couple of years, but no one goes there.
Yeah. I haven't watched anything over the past week, but I have started listening to this podcast mainly for one story that they're doing, but it's a 10-part story. And it's on the Charlie Manson family, and it's you have to remember this.
Mm-hmm.
Must remember this. It's done very well. The production is good.
Wait, that's the name of it? You must remember this?
Yeah, it's about like the first 100 years in Hollywood.
Okay, because I was about to write it down. You're like, you must remember this. I was like, all right, I'll write it down. What's the name?
Yeah, you must remember this.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, it's about the first 100 years in Hollywood. And then I heard that they did a Charlie Manson thing. And so I was like, oh, I got to hear this. And it's like 10 parts. And it's definitely held my interest the whole time. Okay. So I recommend that. And there was something else I wanted to bring up, but screw it. Go listen to our show. The other one.
Listen to the other one.
Yeah, what we did this past week, it was best fictional athletes.
Yeah, for movies. Yeah. It was really funny. I thought it was funny.
I enjoyed it. I think the judging was a little off personally, but aside from that, it was
should have been a clean sweep for me.
So, yeah, check that out. You can also get this show on the Kelly Digital RSS feed, which is on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify. Also, subscribe to YouTube. I mean,
yeah, might as well.
Yeah, of course. You can watch us, see our beautiful faces.
Mm-hmm. See our messy rooms that we work in.
Yeah, no shit. My like a toy bomb just exploded constantly.
I don't have that problem. I just have papers everywhere, like paperwork everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. The other show's fun. This show's fun too, but yeah, that one's a little lighter. So if you don't like politics, you'll still like that one.
And we're not like the NFL. We don't force the politics into the other one.
That's right.
It's consolidated here.
I might wedge a comment in every once in a while, but
yeah, accidentally.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get out of here.
Okay, sounds good. See you guys next week.
Yep.